What the hell is going on here? This is the Mindset Weather Special Part 2.
I bid you welcome.
This is BBC News from BBC World.
This is an NBC News special report.
This is a CBS News special report.
Hello, a very good morning. You're watching BBC News with Carrie Gracie and Simon McCoy.
From ITN News at 10.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be around this wild, wacky, and sometimes disturbing world of ours. This is the Mindset Podcast. I'm Gareth Davis in Los Angeles, California, and joining me is no one. That's right, just me today, folks. I will be talking to Joe Dunn a little bit later on to get an update on some of the shenanigans he's been going through this past week with the advent of Hurricane Irma. But that's about it. It's great to be back. It's great to be doing this, I guess, on its second week. I don't know why I'm doing this. It just felt right, after the terrible hurricane that struck last week. And having Joe there reporting back and letting us know, like boots on the ground, exactly what was going on, it felt like something that needed to be done. So this is going to be part 2, where we talk a little bit about the after effects of the hurricane, the disaster that took place after the fact. And Joe will be joining me in a little while, where we'll get in depth and find out exactly what happened once the storm had passed, and what he did during the storm when it was happening, and the aftermath, what everything looked like when he walked outside after the storm had finally ended and passed him over. I should say that it seems really strange doing this show just me on my own, but it's strange, disturbing, and kind of cool, I should say, because I don't have to rely on anyone. It's just me, which is a blessing and a curse all in one. So the news over here, obviously, last week I was glued to the news channels watching the Hurricane Irma arrival and destruction of Florida. It was on almost every channel, CNN and Fox News, and those news channels that have been labeled fake news were broadcasting continually with reporters on the ground. And I was also in touch with Joe while it was happening. I was texting him, emailing him, and of course, when a phone call was permitted, making those phone calls to see if he was okay. And then we did a little recording on the eve of the storm last week, which we published, and no doubt you guys have heard it. If you have not, I strongly suggest you go back and listen to the Mindset Weather Special from last week to check out exactly what went on. But some of the devastation that happened after the landfall of Hurricane Irma in Florida was pretty traumatic and disturbing for everyone. I have a couple of news clips I'm going to play before we get Joe on the show and find out from the horse's mouth exactly what did happen. But here's the first one. This clip is from CBS, I believe, where they describe some of the devastation that took place during that fateful night last Saturday and Sunday.
This is Everglades City, Florida. Normally 500 people live here, and most of them evacuated ahead of Irma. But this is what they're coming back to.
It's total devastation. The entire community underwater. Residents this morning picking up the pieces. Most will have to start from scratch. Malin Villar rode out the storm in her aunt's home with their family.
It was crazy. I mean, we thought the roof was just going to, blow out. I was scared.
This is what it looked like here before the storm. Living at sea level, they're used to flooding in Everglades City, even hurricanes. But these storm-tested residents say Irma was different.
I was here the last time for Hurricane Wilma hit, and as of right now, I can believe that this is a lot higher water than Wilma hit.
People are going to be watching this from across the country. They're going to see all this and say, how are they ever going to come back from this?
I would say that just watch, and you'll see amazing things happen.
That optimism is what Jim and Laura Stoner, residents of the island of Chokoloskee, a bridge away from Everglades City, are banking on too. Before seeing it, they feared their home was totaled.
You got to look at it from a standpoint of at least we didn't lose any friends or, we were safe. We care about our neighbors in this community. It's a small, tight-knit community, and people struggle down here to make a living, and we don't want to see them hurt.
Residents today submerged in this water, hoping to be living peacefully alongside it again soon.
It's pretty devastating. I mean, can you imagine being evacuated from your home, then coming back, 3, 4, 5 days later to find your home either completely gone or just destroyed beyond recognition or flooded? If you have a 2-story home, the bottom floor where you have, your TV and your sofa and your kitchen completely full of water. Devastating, very, 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 very sad. Something else that we should bear in mind here is that everyone is reporting that these things are going to continue. And every year this is just going to get more and more intense. Now, this next clip I have is basically the state's response to Irma in providing relief and support for the residents who have essentially lost everything.
The sound of military choppers touching down at this Key West strip mall brings relief. Those who survived Hurricane Irma are desperate for supplies.
I was so thirsty. Thank God for the Army.
Days after the storm, power, water, and cell phone service are still cut off to most of the island chain.
Everything's down and gone. Everything's blocked. The telephone poles are down.
National Guard crews now rolling in to clear out roads.
It's a devastation out here. So we're taking it street by street.
While the Navy is bringing in ships and helicopters to reach remote areas still looking for aid.
So from up above, we see a lot of boats shipwrecked on some of these keys and capsized upside down.
Thank you. Thank you.
Along the highway, neighbors feeding neighbors. Tuned in to the only station that broadcast here throughout the storm.
This has been our lifeline the whole time. If we didn't have the radio station, we would go crazy.
The Florida Keys radio station, 104.1.
These men have been manning the mics almost non-stop since Irma hit.
There's no other TV, radio, news. We're it. The stories we're hearing just heartbreaking.
Their voices bringing comfort throughout the storm, now telling a community to hold on. Help is on the way. Gotti Schwartz, NBC News, Big Pine Key.
So I guess people are starting to get their lives together, starting to put things back to normal, but that is a huge mammoth task for most people. However, where Joe lives in Tampa, Florida, they were hit by the storm, but not nearly as bad as the southern tip of Florida. Let me go ahead and bring in Joe here so we can get an update on what exactly took place last Sunday and into Monday with Joe and his family and Hurricane Irma. Hey, Joe, how'd it go?
Yeah, I made it through. Last time I talked to you was before the hurricane was coming.
Yeah.
It was pretty far away. Like, it was still a day away, I think, when I talked to you.
Yeah, we talked on Saturday night, and it was due to show up late Sunday afternoon, I think, last time we talked about it.
And and I was talking about the anticipation, just the stress, the frustration of that part of it, is waiting to see what's going to happen. And as the time started coming, it just got kind of more intense. So around Sunday afternoon, I noticed Sunday morning I woke up, it wasn't raining, it was just cloudy. And actually I was thinking, because we usually do a ultimate frisbee game on Sundays.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, I was like, I wonder if we're going to play today. On the back of my head, I was thinking, there's no way no one's going to go out. The storm's coming, But it was so far away at the time that, maybe we had a couple hours to squeeze in.
Yeah.
But then I think it was around 11 o'clock. It was getting close to that time. I noticed the rain bands were coming. I was like, yeah, screw that. It's starting to come in now.
So that was like 11 o'clock a.m. on Sunday.
Yeah, about 11 o'clock it started. And it was as soon as the first rain band came in, it was really heavy at first, really heavy.
Yeah.
We get a lot of rain here, a lot of storms during the summer. It's already been a rainy summer. And I've seen some heavy rains, but they usually go away within an hour, not even that long. Right. It just comes in, storms real quick and goes away. Wow. But this was like a continuous rain. It just started happening like that about 11 o'clock. And then we had some breaks in the early afternoon, but about I'd say 1 or 2 o'clock it really started coming in.
What did
and the rain didn't let up the rest of the night from about 2 o'clock on.
It rained right through.
Yeah.
Now when
dreary, just pouring down.
You mentioned that you had like little breaks from the rain. When there was a break from the rain, what did the sky look like?
Just cloudy, didn't break up really. You knew it was still there. The storms were still coming in. It was just cloudy out.
There's a lot of clouds.
Yeah.
So it's raining like crazy. I guess what time did it start getting dark? Around like 7 or 8 or something?
Yeah, later on. So yeah, early in like about 2 o'clock, the rain was really coming in, and that's about. I think I went outside, did a little video clip to show you. I sent it over to you.
Yeah.
That's about right when it was coming in, and you could see the winds really kicking up at that time. Like we were already getting wind gusts, probably up to like 40 miles an hour.
So the trees are swaying. It's raining like crazy.
I mean, you could tell it was going to be crazy, and it was only 2 o'clock. I was like, oh man, it's gonna be bad, you know. I gotta go a whole night, and like we were talking too. Remember, it was gonna come like early in the morning, like 2 in the morning. Like so the eye was gonna hit us.
When did you start getting nervous?
When it got dark.
so the sun went down. It's dark outside. It's raining like crazy, and it's starting to get really, really windy.
Yeah, because from 2 o'clock on, it rained, and it got dark around 8 o'clock or so. And at that time, it hadn't even stopped raining. It was still raining, just continuous, and the winds were whipping, and the rains were whipping around because the winds were kind of gusting around. You know, it wasn't like a straight down rain. It was like
it was all whipping all over the place.
If you went outside, it was crazy because the winds were just going around. And at that time, it was getting dark. I tried to go out and do some video clips for you, but it was just so dark you couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was like nighttime. It started getting really scary, and then after 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock when it was dark. That's when it started getting worse because the storm was getting closer to us at that time.
Oh my gosh!
And so we stayed up, man. We had I had plenty of drinks, you know, like I was telling you. That's one thing the stores had in stock was alcohol. You couldn't find water anywhere, dude, but you could find alcohol.
So you were drinking?
Yeah, just to kind of relieve the stress and just kind of.
Do you think? I mean,
lighten it up a little bit, you know, because it's intense.
Was that wise though? I mean, consider luckily nothing crazy happened, but had something really nuts gone down, and you'd been there, you know, with a good buzz on or something.
Well, usually when that happens, man, it's like a buzzkill, you know, like you snap out of it, like in that mode, like oh man, stuff's really hitting the fan.
Yeah.
But no, before that, because we already prepared, you know, we had like our safe room in the house we were going to go to just in case, like if the winds got so bad.
Okay, let's talk about the safe room. So where was the safe room, and why did you pick that room?
It was in the master bedroom, bathroom closet, because there was no windows in there, and that was like the area that had the most walls around it, and I think that's the area in the house that has the most structure around it, that where if the wind was so bad blowing things over, we'd still be kind of safe in there, I would think.
Right.
I hope. There's no windows because we have glass everywhere. Like every room in the house has glass. That's the only room that doesn't have glass.
So if things had gotten that bad, you would have gone into that little, like a closet, closed the door, and then just hoped that you would have survived.
Yeah, I was hoping it wasn't get to that, you know. So we pumped up. We had an air mattress, you know, put that in there.
Yeah.
Stacked everything in there. And other than that, what's weird is we had power the whole night. Almost, it was after the storm we lost power. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But we had power, so we were able to kind of just stay up through most of it and watch like news and just kind of music, whatever, to get our minds off.
So you had the TV. The TV was still going. You could still see broadcasts and everything.
Yeah, so we're watching that, and then but we kept seeing like people's power was going out. Like the news kept reporting, like thousands more are losing power. You could tell it was getting worse.
Oh man!
As it was getting towards and it was scary as you're sitting there because we have two houses on either side of us.
Right.
And you could hear the wind gusting in between that area, just rattling the windows. That was scary feeling too.
Did you think they were going to crack?
Because I was thinking that. Remember I told you I didn't board them up. And I was like, man, I was thinking at that time I should have boarded them up. And you don't realize it, you know, when the wind's hitting, like how hard it really is. And the windows are rattling. They didn't break, thankfully. And we had this one window that already has a crack in it. Yeah. So I was worried that was going to bust. But
it helped.
I was worried more about the front windows because we have a bigger window there, them breaking. But turns out the wind was stronger on the sides of the house because of all that convection right there, you know.
Did you, like at 1, 2 in the morning at the height of the storm, did you go outside or did you stay in?
Yeah, I went outside because I had to move because about that time, it was about 1 or 2. It was still raining like crazy, and winds were coming down. You could hear the trees bumping against the house. We had cut down our big oak tree in the front yard, but we had a couple trees on the side of the house. You could hear them thumping against the house. That's how strong it was. Just thump, thump. And almost like the house was like shaking a little bit. It was scary, man. But I went outside because around that time, it was like 1 in the morning. Pretty good buzz going on. I was like, we're going to get through this, The winds are just strong. I looked down the floor, dude, by the windows. There's water coming in the floor.
Oh, my God.
Underneath the hardwood floor up through the cracks in between the wood.
Coming through.
Yeah, like little puddles were forming back there. I was like, oh, man, I never seen it get that bad. But I think I got a crack in the foundation or something in that part of the house because water was coming in right there. I put a bunch of towels down. So at that point, I was talking to you about you kind of snap out of that buzz, man. Like reality sets in like, oh, man, this is getting real. Like water's coming in.
So water's coming into the house. It's raining like crazy. The wind is going nuts, rattling the windows. There's trees bumping into the house. Did you see
and I went outside that time with the water because right there in front of the window, I have some bricks kind of set up.
Yeah.
With some stones right there. That was to kind of drain the water. I had put that there a long time ago, but it wasn't draining it. So I went out there and moved the bricks to help drain the water right in the middle of the storm there. And that was scary. And it was the winds that were just whipping around. And the next day I went out though and looked around the streets and the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And there was trees everywhere. Like grass was covered the streets. So much stuff had flown around. So I couldn't imagine being outside for like a long period of time with all that stuff flying around.
I was going to ask you when you did go outside, the storm was full on, everything was going crazy. Did you see stuff blowing up and down the street or like trees or trash cans or who knows what?
Yeah, you could see stuff like that kind of coming down the street, rolling down the street.
Just flying all over the place.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
And a lot of people move their debris out of the yard, so it's real limited, but some people leave their stuff in the yard and it was crazy seeing all that, and I went right back in, man.
What time did the eye of the storm go by? Do you remember when you had that moment
it was
of
really,
peace?
Yeah, it's pretty eerie because I think it was about 2, 3 in the morning because about that time, I got that water cleaned up in the front. It was still raining, but I was like, nothing we can do. So we still had power, too. It was crazy. And then we went to lay down. I started falling asleep, but then the power went out at that time. And that woke me up, so I was wide awake. And about that time, the eye was over us, and it was just silent. There was no wind, no rain. It was crazy.
Did you go outside?
It was almost like the storm was over.
Did you go outside?
I didn't go outside, no, because I was kind of laying down, just kind of relaxing.
And it just stopped.
Yeah, but you could hear, from so much chaos during the day and into the night, when you could hear all the wind and the rain, it was such a difference.
Yeah.
When the eye goes over you, because it's just complete silent. There's not a sound, and there's not a sound to be heard. It's crazy.
And then it picks back
and then
up.
you're thinking, oh, well, maybe it's past, like that was it. And then it picked up like an hour later or so.
And then you got the remnants, the end part.
Yeah, and that's the end. That's when the powers started going out.
Yeah.
And then I just fell asleep, and then the next day woke up, there was no power. And I went outside, and there was just trees everywhere. Debris everywhere in my neighborhood. I never seen it like that before.
So you went for a jog, right?
Yeah, I went out for a run because I just had to get out of the house, man. I've been trapped in here, and I want to go out for a little run. And I was like, I'll check some things out. There were just trees everywhere.
Did some houses get pretty messed up?
Yeah, you could see some people's roofs in my neighborhood. And keep in mind too, like we were fortunate, like we didn't get as much damage as some other parts of Florida.
Right.
But in just my neighborhood, there was roofs that you could see where there was holes in it, torn up. Trees fell over, things like that. Big trees fell over people's yards.
Wow.
I saw one where it hit it's laying on his roof.
Oh shit.
Fences were blown over like crazy. Everybody's fences were blown over for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of damage, man. And like I said, they must have cleared out some of the streets around where I lived at because it looks so cluttered. I was like, they must have already cleared some of it out because you could drive through some of the streets. But yeah, the power was out all around my town where I live. The main, into Tampa, it was all out. It was out for... Mine came up a few days ago. Man, it sucked, dude, for like 2 days or 3 days or so.
Well, I was going to ask you because you know that you're in Florida and you're in probably one of the most humid states in the union, and you got no power. It's probably hot and crazy humid. What is that the first time you've in your life where it's been crazy humid but you have no AC to kind of to help?
Well, last summer I had to go without AC for a couple of days. That sucks. So I had a kind of a feeling of what's going to come if we lose power. And I was like, I'm dreading that because it does suck. You can't do anything. You feel paralyzed. It's so humid and there's no breeze, like really, and you can't turn a fan on. We had charged a fan too, and the fan battery wasn't working. I was like, damn it, didn't even have a fan.
Okay, so let's get this straight. So you got a little bit of flooding in the front. A couple of trees blown, mess in the yard, no windows broken, no tiles off the roof. The neighborhood is in varying degrees of destruction, but nothing too major. You lose all power. The entire neighborhood has no power. And how long before the power comes back on? A couple of hours or a day or two?
It was like a day or two for us.
Okay.
And I have a friend that still has no power right now. It's been like over 5 days. So there's parts of Florida that still don't have power. So it's crazy, man. In my county, like 70% of the people lost their power in my county. And when it goes out, what sucks too is you don't know when it's going to come on. You're looking on the website for like updates because on my phone I have my phone charged.
Right.
And it's real general updates. It just says, it could be 7 to 10 days. You're like, oh crap, And it sucks without the AC for sure, man. But what I did is I turned when the storm was coming, I turned on the AC like real low to get it real cold in here.
Yeah.
So that way, when it does go out, at least the cold air will be in for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I tried to hold on to that for as long as I could, man. But it's just after a while, it just gets real humid and it sucks. And plus, you can't do regular stuff. We take it for granted having power,
Yeah, you can't like fire up the Mac and jump online or edit some videos or
you can't watch TV. Yeah, nothing like that, man. You just have your phone basically.
Yeah, your phone is the only thing you have.
That's it, man, and it sucks. It makes you realize too, like how dependent we are on, like these electric companies. I was thinking, maybe if Tesla's thing had worked out, we'd all have free energy. We could just tap into it.
So once the storm was over, the sun came up. You're without power. Did the flooding subside? Did it go away, or are you still dealing with that now?
It's gotten worse. What's weird is after the storm, it's been beautiful weather, and we had some rain today and yesterday, but. It's been beautiful sunny weather. It's crazy how the storm clears everything out,
What about the flooding?
Skies. But the flooding, what happens is the rivers have been flooding up. I just been watching it tonight. They might have to close down some of the interstate, one of the main interstates that goes through Florida because the river goes under that. It's one of the main rivers.
It's all flooded.
Because the rivers are starting to swell up. Like they're like 17 feet above flood stage. So the rain is there's been so much rain and saturation. The water's draining into the rivers. And the rivers are getting over flooded now, and so now that's the after effects of all this. And there's still major flooding, like in South Florida too. So like people's houses underwater. And what sucks about that is a lot of those people moved. They went up to Northeast Florida to evacuate. Turns out the majority of the rain bands, even though we got rain here and where we're at, the majority of the rain bands were up there, and they're now dealing with a lot of flooding. So all those people are trapped up there.
Oh my gosh.
It sucks, dude. I saw some lady posting a photo tonight on Facebook because she was trying to get money because they have nowhere to go. FEMA rejected them or something. I don't know.
That's terrible.
But she showed a photo of her house, and it's like halfway underwater, the whole neighborhood. And that's up by Jacksonville, like Northeast Florida. So it's affected the whole state, man. It's been a huge impact. I've never been through something like this. It definitely changes, too, like your mental kind of thinking about things.
Oh, yeah. It's a massive disaster. And to be honest with you, Joe, this is probably going to become a regular occurrence.
That's what I was thinking about. It sucks to think about that.
Every year now that you're going to be dealing with this stuff.
Even if it doesn't come right over us, these storms are so big. Our state is only like 200 miles wide or something like that.
Exactly.
They cover the whole state, dude.
So the flooding you had in the front, that's good now? Or are you still dealing with that?
Yeah, it's dried up there. I've been keeping an eye on it. I'm going to have to get it fixed here coming up, but I'm going to try to fix that part of the house.
When was the first time you went outside of the neighborhood, like went into town or got in the car and drove around?
I think it was Monday. Might have been later on Monday, in the afternoon. I wanted to go because we had no power. I kind of wanted to see what was going on. Trying to get something to eat too, because I want to get something hot to eat because we had nothing here. That's another thing too. We stocked up for food during the hurricane and like everything, but I didn't truly stock up for after. Like you don't know, you think it might be a day or two, but it could be a week that you don't have power, so we didn't have that much food. So I was looking for stuff to eat. There was nothing open. It was crazy, and stuff didn't start opening up until maybe Wednesday or Thursday of this week, at least where I live at.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so going out and just seeing like, it was crazy, dude. They had, I think it was Monday or Tuesday I went out. They had one McDonald's open where I live. They have lots of McDonald's.
Yeah.
But they had one McDonald's open right by the interstate there, dude. There was a line from the drive-through all the way up into the interstate. That was the only McDonald's open for miles, probably.
I was
gonna go down there. I was like, screw that, man.
Man, they must have done a crazy business that night.
Yeah,
Made a fortune.
Just going through all that just changes your perspective on the way you think about things.
Well,
like
it makes you think, because if the disaster was, I mean, luckily, it wasn't that. I mean, for certain, obviously, for certain people in Florida, it was horrific. It was a nightmare. But for you and your neighborhood and your community, you got off lightly, right? There was no major damage. But just imagine if there was, or it's just as is, but you didn't have power for like a month.
Oh man!
I mean, how the fuck could you go? Like you said, you go and get food. Everything's closed. You in the future, you're really going to have to start thinking about being prepared, right? So that if this does happen, and if it does get bad, you're going to have enough stuff stored away at home, so you'll be okay for a while, for maybe a week or two or whatever it takes,
Yeah, and get one of those big generators, because I saw people had a lot of generators.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does make you think about those things for sure, man, because we take it for granted when you go through something like this. And it could have been a lot worse because the storm came up and it hit land, where it hit, and then when it got over us, it had downgraded somewhat, so it wasn't as bad. But if it had stayed out in the Gulf a little bit more, it would have been even worse. So just these storms can shift a little bit.
Well, there's another one forming. I saw on the news today.
Oh, I haven't even looked, man. I don't want to look.
There's another one. Yep, there's another one forming today. It's not going to get Florida. It's going to get still on the East Coast. It's going to go up by North Carolina, up that area. They're going to get it.
It's scary because, yeah, like you said, they could be more common. You could just have one right after another dude coming through.
Well, there was two for a while, right? There was Irma, and then the one that came right behind it, but which luckily didn't make landfall.
Yeah, Jose or something like that.
Irma and Jose, or I can't remember what the second one was called. Irma was the main one.
But it was crazy, just all the news coverage, and it's still going on, but just the massive amount of news coverage on it too. Like all the channels were diverted to that, the news coverage of it, and just it's overload too. A lot of it, just they want to hype you up and be prepared, but sometimes it's like, man, it's too much.
Because I mean, I'm not a huge fan of watching the news, but I watched a lot of that shit last
I know
weekend.
they suck you in with it.
I was watching a lot of stuff with the storm, because I mean it was compulsive viewing, to see that. I remember they had the news crews right there in Tampa. They had the news crew there filming right by the river, talking about it and discussing it. And I was watching the news, and they had what's that guy's the Al Roker, the weather guy?
Yeah,
he was there. He was there in downtown Tampa, and he was talking. He was there talking away, and I was like, "Hey, Joe lives right there."
Yeah, we had Anderson Cooper down here too.
That's right. Yeah.
And we were thinking, yeah, when he gets here, it's pretty bad,
Yeah, Anderson was there, and they were all there.
Yeah, and that area floods up pretty bad too.
Did it get flooded? Was it pretty bad?
Yeah, I think that area flooded up, and I think I might have sent you a photo. Or can't remember, but the water sucked out of the bay right there.
Uh-huh.
Before the storm comes up, it sucks all the water out.
Yeah.
I guess the way these storms work, it sucks all the water out of the bays and things like that, and then when it comes back over, it draws the water back in. So it was cool to see photos like that where the water's all sucked out, but scary too. That water's coming back in.
Yeah.
Just in a few hours when the tide comes in and stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, he was down there, and they were doing all these reports on it. And you keep thinking, the thing is, these storms too, you check back on the news, you don't only get a real report until every few hours, because they don't know how the storm's going to move.
Yeah. That's true.
they'd say, "Oh, we have a 5 o'clock update, and then we have 11 o'clock update," kind of thing. Wow. But in between that, you're kind of watching, kind of see what's going to happen, what's going on. But these news guys, man, they must thrive off this shit too, you know.
Oh, they love it. They love it.
I was like, at one point, I was like, man, send that guy home. He's been on there for like 48 hours straight or more, man. Just like, what, they must have a bed in the back of the news studio or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah, probably so.
But it's a crazy experience, man. I know living here, you take that chance, and there's gonna be more.
Yeah.
But like you said, just try to be more prepared.
Yeah, I think they're definitely as this is going to become the norm. I think with this kind of storm. What I'm interested to see from your perspective, Joe, which will probably happen over the next few weeks, knowing you, is when you get out into the wilderness, out into the forest. Was it the Ocala State Forest and stuff?
Yeah.
For you to get out there and start reporting on and documenting on some of the damage that's happened out there, because the news crews, they're going to be focused on, you know, the towns, the cities, the houses, all the normal stuff, but nobody thinks about what kind of damage that's going to happen into the Everglades and the forests, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, when I want to go out exploring, that's one thing I'm intrigued about. I want to go get out there and see what happened, just be out there in the middle of it.
Because you occasionally come across like an old shack or, you know, an old building. Well,
one of the things I thought about is all these places I find.
Yeah, who knows if those things are even going to be standing now.
I'm worried about that, so I wanted to go see them, man. I wanted to go see what happened if they held up a lot of these places. I'm interested. What sucks about it, man, is they've closed down a lot of the public lands right now.
Wow.
Because they don't want people out there. They're still unsafe, they say. But I've been checking all day. They have a lot of the state forests closed. The Ocala National Forest is closed right now. It's like, how do you close a forest down? But I guess they can do it.
Well,
I've been wanting to get out there, and I'm like, man, because I've been trapped in here for like 2 weeks. I haven't gone hiking.
So when are you going this weekend or no?
I want to go tomorrow, but it's just I'm limited on where I can go because they say it's a lot of these places are off limits. Can't get into them yet. But when I do, there's several sites I'm going to go check out, see if they're still there. I hope they are.
Yeah.
But I was worried about that.
You're probably going to see a lot of trees that are down and stuff.
Yeah. And I just want to get it back out there and see it, like how the wilderness held up. And I want to see the flooded rivers. I want to be out there and kind of see the water. And
yeah, be careful.
Yeah, I know.
You're going to get washed away.
But I want to film and document it, you know. It's cool.
Yeah, totally.
That's what I like doing. But yeah, hopefully I can get back out there real soon. I've been diving and get out there, man.
Well, Joe, I'm glad you survived. I'm glad you and your property and your family got away relatively unscathed from Hurricane Irma, which devastating hurricane for Florida. And I'm glad you made it. I know that since when I posted the podcast last week, a lot of feedback, a lot of people concerned, asking about how you were. Which is why I wanted to do this follow-up. I did get an email or two from listeners saying, please do a follow-up with Joe to find out, how it went, what happened. Once we found out that you were still alive, everyone wanted to hear your side of the story and listen to the experience of going through that, because as scary as the experience is, it's something that very, very few people actually go through.
Yeah, it's a scare. I'm glad we made it through where we lucked out compared to many people. But it's a mental thing too. It's just it does something to you. It's like it's scary going through that stuff. And we lucked out, man. And like I said, the next time it comes, we'll try to be more prepared. If it's stronger winds than it was when this one came through, I think we might have to leave. Because I just don't know. Seeing some of these homes just get ripped apart like that, man. I was like, man, that could have been our house.
That's so scary.
You're sitting in there, even if you're in your safe room, dude. If the roof blows off and the walls fall down, you're like sitting there like
you're
nothing.
Done. You're done. Well, hopefully you have really good insurance.
Yeah, that
deal
makes
with
you
that.
think about that too.
Absolutely. Well, Joe, thanks for coming on and giving us an update.
Yeah.
Really, really appreciate it, man. I will talk to you soon.
And good talking to you. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Well, it was great talking to Joe, and it was great to finally see that he was okay. Slight damage, a little bit of water, but overall he came through relatively unscathed, unlike some of the other residents of Florida who did not have a good time with Hurricane Irma. something to keep in mind, I guess, is that this is going to be happening far more often, as, of course, Joe and I talked about a few minutes ago. So we'll see how it goes. I want to thank everyone for listening, everyone for keeping the RSS feed alive. Check out the YouTube channel. There's going to be some new updates there, hopefully, and we'll see what happens with the podcasting. I am kind of enjoying this, and I have been away for far too long, so we shall see. So we will take it from there, and maybe I'll be back soon, maybe not. I don't know. But until then, farewell, good brothers.